You'll remember that, of course, the UN rose from the ashes of the Second World War, but became frozen in the nuclear standoff of the Cold War. And nuclear proliferation is still very much on the mind of the United Nations 74 years on. Scrapping nuclear weapons was the subject of the first UN General Assembly resolution back in 1946. Nearly 75 years later, fears are that the threat of nuclear war is now growing again.
Sadly, I fear that not only has that progress come to a halt, it is going in reverse. Relations between nuclear-armed states are mired in mistrust. Dangerous rhetoric about the utility of nuclear weapons is on the rise. A qualitative nuclear arms race is underway. The painstakingly constructed arms control regime is fraying.
The UN chief was talking about the recent abandonment of the Intermediate Range Nuclear Forces Treaty between the US and Russia and fears about the deployment of these weapons in Europe and Asia. The UN is also deeply concerned that other long-standing nuclear treaties may start to unravel. Meanwhile, the standoff over the Iran nuclear deal continues with dueling media messages between Tehran and Washington. Iran's President Hassan Rouhani told the world's press that Iran was not behind the recent attacks on Saudi Arabia's oil facilities.
Those who accuse others, those are the parties who should be held responsible to show proof, to show evidence to back up those allegations or accusations. If this attack didn't come from the south, it came from the north or the west or the east. Those who make the allegations must provide the needed proof to back up such allegations.
As Rouhani was addressing the press, Washington announced that it is banning all senior Iranian government officials from traveling to the United States.
President Trump yesterday signed a presidential proclamation banning Iranian elites and their family members from traveling to the United States. For years, Iranian regime elites have shouted death to America. Meanwhile, the relatives have come here to live and to work. No more.
So that escalation by Washington really makes diplomacy with Iran more difficult if Iranian diplomats can't travel here and negotiate. And really, now with US President Donald Trump back in Washington dealing with that impeachment crisis that Roe was telling us about, and the European plans for some sort of talks on Iran essentially dead, where does this standoff go now between the US and Iran? We don't know. Back to you.